Mannen Sailor fountain pen. It's not I can't speak. I just can't speak. So I thought I'd do a fun drawing this evening of a little lobster, and the reason why I'm doing this is because a friend of mine did a drawing a while ago, Brian Ramsey, and it's a beautiful bit of art, and I thought I want to copy that. And there's nothing wrong with trying to learn by copying people's styles, I don't think. And yeah, so we've got a reference drawing. We've probably got Brian's drawing somewhere. Anyway, it's enough of the waffle. So let's get cracking, shall we? So let's get that reference picture up, and we can look at Brian's picture again in a bit. Yeah, go. So there we've got a nice pencil sketch, and I'm gonna ink it in now. Now the pen I'm going to use for this is a Fude fountain pen, Fude or Fude Pen. I never know how to say that. Fude. Answers on a postcard. Do you remember those? Or at the bottom downstairs in the comments, write what the pronunciation is for this. Some people say Fude. Some people say food, like you eat. I have no idea. Anyway, I don't even know the etymology of the word. Or is that insects? Could be insects. Insects and words. Shut up. Right. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the Mannen Sailor. I've used this one before. It works really, really well, particularly on rough paper, and it gives quite a sort of serrated and ragged edge. And that's quite cool for something like this lobster because it is quite spiky and prickly. So there we go, I've filled it up. It inevitably has covered my hands, but such is life. So let's ink this in then. So as I said before, I am going to be not too particular. And just try and keep it a bit loose and a bit wobbly, because that's what lobsters are. Now these little claws here, as you can see in the drawing, they're pretty simple. There's just a little segmented beast here going back into the body. And then there's the main body going back here. I'm going to just thicken up that little line a bit there. And then these sections are actually relatively sort of regular. There we go. Maybe not brilliant, but it doesn't matter. The thing is, as well, is we're very much working on the principle here that we've got a photo in front of us, but anybody who is going to see this card for the first time, or this piece of art for the first time, isn't going to have much of a mental map of what a sort of lobster looks like, unless there's some kind of lobster expert, which, let's face it, a fisherman would be, I guess. You were catching a little beasts. Now, actually, this artwork would suit maybe doing it as a bigger piece, because there's quite a lot of small detail on this little little sort of jiggly bits and sort of spiky pieces, if you know what I mean. So maybe this would suit a little bit rather than a big bit. So this would suit being done as a larger piece. But I do like doing cards for people. It's one of the most nice things about being into art in a way, is sharing it with card form. And the nice thing is with sort of birthday cards is people don't feel the pressure, or shouldn't feel the pressure, to keep them or display them. You know, you can just put them on your fridge for a bit or on your wall, and then you don't have to keep showing that. Now I'm going to run that one underneath. That wasn't the original plan, but it doesn't matter. So there you go. Cute little ink lobster. So it's pretty simple. Obviously this Fude pen, you do get slightly more jaggedy lines. Now I could just go in and, you know, add a little bit more contrast with those lines to try and make the claws at the front, you know, stand out a bit, which probably, I think, is, oops, a bit of a mistake there. Probably doesn't need it, but, and again, because this is quite small, maybe a thinner line work would enable me to, you know, give more detail, but you get the idea. Okay, so that's pretty cool. But to do that without smearing any of the ink, I'm going to give it a quick hair dry and then remove those. And I'm going to be quite splashy with this, so I can go back and trim it to the shape of the card whenever. I'm just going to get rid of that for now. Okay. Right, so the rubber has caught a little bit there, but it's not the end of the world. Oh, I forgot to feed the dog. Do you want some food, Kit Kat? So that's good there. I like the line work. I think it works well on the rough paper. So let's stick some watercolour on now. So we're going to start with a layer of yellow, or sort of sienna colour, and then we're going to build it up with some various reds and splash some paint around and have a bit of fun with it. So looking at Brian's drawing, there's quite a little bit more detail there. So I'm going to just go in with this fine liner, and I'm just going to put in some little round details. I've put a couple in already, but I just want to add some more. There is some gnarly lumpy bits actually on the claws, so I'll put those on. There we go. Now I think around the head there is a few more bits. There we go, and 2 more bits on top. So a little bit of additional ink. Now I think there's a yellow base to this, but I'm going to mix a tiny bit of yellow here with a little bit of natural sienna, and we're gonna start with that as a coat. That's probably a little bit too much pigment. So this is going to act as a as a sort of undercoat really. Now looking at the original drawing, we're going to assume that the light is coming from the top left corner. So what that means is we've got a shadow underneath here, but I'm going to put that in last. I'm not going to put that in first. But we're going to assume that this is a roughly regular, relatively regular shape. Right, so what I might do is I might dry that, because I don't want this to be too, if I add colour in there, it's going to go soft. But actually what I want with this is to be quite poppy, and I want to have some clear defined edges with the different glazes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry that off. So a little bit of transparent red oxide and the transparent Pyrrole orange, and that's going to give us a pale lobster colour. So I'm not mixing much paint because I really don't need it. We'll pull in some from over there. So trying to just think about where that light's coming from. I know there's going to be a highlight on this side of the claw. I'm not going to be able to put highlights necessarily on any of these bits. Partly because I know this brush is really weird. It's an old Zen art brush that I have from years ago, and you just get used to using something no matter how odd it is. And it's got this awful sweep in it, like sickle shape. Actually, I find it really quite useful, and you just get used to something. It's a bit weird, really. I should chuck it and get something a bit better. Okay, so I'm going to put a bit more shadow under there. This is going to be roughly in the middle of it. Pull a little bit of a beard. I'm going to put a few dots on as well. And help but add to the texture. And there we go. Right, so we're gonna put in some texture down here, and then this is all going to be in shadow at the back because it kind of curls down and back on itself. Everyone's out jogging tonight. I can hear them thumping up and down the road. I'm saying that I was out earlier on in the sunshine, wheezing around like a fat middle-aged bloke. Good fun though. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of this quinacridone rose, mix that in. I might take just a dab of ultramarine, just knock that back a bit, and then, like I say, I'm not going to bother to hairdry that. I'm just going to go in, because I don't mind if the darker areas are a little bit softer. Now I'm just going to work on one side, which is the shadow side. I'm not going to put any on the other. Now I could probably have done with a bit of white on there, but it doesn't matter. So that's probably not far off. What I'd like to do is put some shadow underneath it and also splash a little bit colour on top. So I might do some splashes now, just a few dots. Now this is a really personal thing, not a lot of, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily like this, but let's just try on here first. There we go. Oh, so it's like my son's just fallen out of bed. There we go. Right, so I'll hairdry that and then we'll do that little bit of shadow. Right, so as far as shadows go, we have this sort of red, and I could go for, put a little bit more. Now I could go for a bit of blue. Added into that, you get this lovely sort of shadow colour. That's quite nice. Or I could go for something like this, moon glow, which actually doesn't look too dissimilar to that anyway. Yeah. I think I'll go for a little bit of blue. Right. So, let's think about where we're going to put this. So what I'm doing with this shadow is I'm just going across, basically across the back here, as if obviously the shadow's coming down this way. So there's going to be some in here, as if it was sitting on a table. And it's not strictly accurate. There we go. It doesn't matter. And so it's vaguely something like that. Now hopefully when that dries it'll dry a little bit brighter, because it's actually quite punchy, that. But either way, it's quite fun. So the last few little touches, now I'm going to try and use this gel pen here. And now we've got some dots. That I can pick out. We've got a couple of sort of highlighted areas. A couple of these bits of the segmented skull. The eyes obviously can have a dob in them. Apologies if you can hear somebody monologuing upstairs. It's my my 4-year-old son. I don't know where he gets it from. He seems to love the sound of his own voice. So a couple of bits on this one as well. I think again I'll just pick up a couple of those segment areas. couple of little highlights on these back legs. I'll help bring everything to life a bit. I might just break up this big shape back here a little bit. This big thick line, I think it's probably a little bit too thick. Add in. So there we go. And I've put some double-sided sticky tape on the back there. And now I'm just going to attach it to the card. And again, doesn't matter if it's not completely straight. So there we go. And now it's up to you if you want to sign it or not. Personally, I quite like to. And there we go. A nice little original there. And that'll be a cool little birthday card for a loved one. You can see some close-ups there. See the little guy with his sparkly knobbly bits. Now I could have put some blue splashes on here to really make that orange pop. But I just didn't want to do anything too complicated. So there we go, it looks good on the card. It's finished off quite well. I quite like it. It's a fun little drawing. Yes, so do like and subscribe. It all helps the channel. And feel free to leave a comment or have a go yourself. Send me a picture. See how you get on. Yeah, we'll see you again for more drawing and fun next time. Cheers then. Bye bye.